Well, I'm Don Fischer. I'm a provost of the Defense Language Institute. A provost heads up all of the civilian effort, the teaching, the research, the distance learning, adopting new technologies, developing tests, that kind of thing. So I guess you would call me the senior academic official at the Institute. Well, the Defense Language Institute has a long history. It started in 1941, teaching Japanese in anticipation of a lot of issues that were certainly there to come. It started the month before the attack on Pearl Harbor. The initial idea was that it would go back to people of Japanese ancestry here in the States, also in Hawaii, on the assumption that the people knew the language and could get started with it. Of course, the Japanese had been here for generations, had established themselves as business people and so on, and had really lost contact with the language. And so a very intensive program had to be developed. Started at Crissy Field in San Francisco, and then the issues with the Japanese, because of the outbreak of the war and the sentiment against, caused it to move to Minnesota, where it stayed through the war. In 1947, it became reestablished, and it began to be oriented toward a lot of different languages and cultures based on what was going on with NATO and what was going on in the Pacific and so on and so forth. It started out as the Army Language School in 1947, and then in the late 60s, early 70s, it became the Defense Language Institute. Right now we teach 26 languages at the school, and we teach about 65 languages in Washington. And what we have are a group of really wonderful young people that are selected based on high scores of the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, and then they're given a Defense Language Aptitude Battery, which is an artificial language which tests their ability to remember vocabulary, to learn rules, to deal with different sentence structures. And then they come to the course. Courses are very intensive. For example, we're required to do in 26 weeks in Spanish what generally four-year college students, college majors in Spanish achieve. Our language programs are divided into categories based on difficulty for speakers of English to learn. Languages like Spanish, French, Portuguese are Category 1 languages. These are easier for people who speak English because you can read the script. You can sound the words out through reading. And the grammar is fairly close to English, and there are a lot of cognates, and there's also a lot of cultural relationships between us and the people who speak those languages. The Category 2 are German, Indonesian, a little bit more complex in grammar, a little bit more difficult. Category 3 are the Indo-European languages, languages such as Farsi, spoken in Iran, Punjabi, Dari, which is an offshoot of Persian Farsi that's spoken in Afghanistan. Russian is a Category 3 language. And then you have your Category 4 languages, which are very difficult in terms of reading the scripts, in terms of culture, in terms of lack of cognates. And these languages are Pashto, which are spoken by tribal systems in Afghanistan. We have Chinese, Arabic, Korean, and Japanese. Now, the thing about the languages being easier, what's tough about that is the time you get to achieve and to be able to do the same things as very talented and very competent language people is shorter. The Category 1 is 26 weeks, Category 2 is 36 weeks, Category 3 is 47 weeks, and Category 4 is 63 weeks. And what happens there is we have a scale called the Interagency Language Roundtable, guidelines. These are all the agencies in the government that use languages, and they tell you what you do at certain levels of proficiency. And basically our goal is to get people to where you would expect four-year majors in Spanish to get 26 weeks. We do the same thing with those other time frames. It's a very interesting course. If you take a Category 4 language, you get 2,240 hours of language in that 63 weeks. Well, if you would take nothing but language courses in a college, let's say you took 4 courses and they were 3-hour courses, you met 3 times a week in each course. For a 16-week semester, you're talking 192 hours. When you divide that 192 hours into 2,240, you get over 10 and a half college semesters in that 63 weeks. So you can understand just how intense the program is, how good the people are when they get out of it, and how competent, motivated, and energetic those students have to be to get there. Our faculty is 98% native speakers. So every day you walk into the classroom, 6-hour days are the study days. We have a 7th hour for special assistants and people who want to have help when teachers are there. And you have about 3 hours of homework a night. So we have study hall 4 nights a week, Monday through Thursday. Basically, you live the language for the time you're here. So a very special place doing a very special thing in a country that's really not that attuned to foreign languages. It has gotten more as we've done more exporting, as we've become more involved overseas militarily, economically, and strategically. But when you compare us to somebody like China or Germany, our interest is way behind. So our school provides about 3,000 people a year to this country right now who are really quite good at what they do, and they perform vital missions for the United States. Bringing the school here in 1947 with all of those different cultures seemed to set a real tone for the place that eventually turned into the Motnerey Institute of International Studies, brought all kinds of flavors, and those flavors exist today. What's been really interesting is how the town is small, but nevertheless you have a tremendous cultural life here because of this mix in languages. It's interesting, I bought a house here in Motnerey just recently, and my 2 neighbors are Sicilian. They've been here a long time, they speak their Italian, and they're very much of that culture. So, you know, there aren't very many places where you get that kind of a flavor. So then we bring young people from the heartland here, and they see this. They see the ocean, they see the sky, they see the woods, the Big Sur, the mountains, and they experience these different people, and it kind of gives them a push that not many other towns could give for such a daunting task as they have in front of them. And I must say that once this place gets into your blood, you don't leave it. I was commandant here from 1989 to 1993. I came back in 2005 to be the provost. And what we have is many cases of students here who come back for up to 4 languages. So again, this place is kind of a magnet for a lot of things.